Hi guys, welcome to Hardspace Shipbreaker. I talked about this game very briefly in one of the No Man's Sky videos recently, and I thought I might as well just give it a try, see if you guys like it, because I've been really enjoying playing it myself. There are a few different modes of play, but for today I thought I would just try the free play mode, which I haven't tried yet, so I'll have to figure a few things out. So these are all the possible ships you can encounter, from easier to harder. Might as well start with the easiest one, because I don't really know how long this will take. Yeah, let's jump right in. So, in case you have no idea what this is the shipyard, essentially, in space. There is Earth. And essentially you have to dismantle a spaceship, one ship at a time, as safely as possible and as effectively as possible. Some parts go into the furnace, some parts go into the processor, and the most valuable parts go into the barge, which is this green area below. If you mess up, as in if you put parts in the wrong place, you will lose some money. Especially if you somehow destroy parts that are supposed to go in the barge. That tends to be the most destructive to your shift progression. Anyway, I think that's about as much as I have to say, because it will become clear. I don't have demolition charges unlocked yet in the career, so I won't be using them because I'm not sure how. But you have your cutter tool with a precision laser, and again I forget the exact terminology, but like a laser that cuts in a straight line across various surfaces. So as you can see, the crosshair changed from just having the four corners to having 8 points, like the outward arrows, which means that you can rip parts off without needing any tools, like this. And it's pretty clearly marked where stuff is supposed to go, so this should go in the processor. We can just launch it in there.
Processor deposit accepted. Credits awarded.
So let's start with, these easier bits.
Deposit accepted for processing.
So in a way it's kind of a puzzle game where you have to figure out the most efficient way to dismantle each ship.
Credits awarded.
And as you rank up, there are various hazards that the game introduces,
Deposit confirmed. Applying credits.
like fuel tanks that if you accidentally hit them with your laser or whatever,
Salvage secured.
they will
Applying credits.
ignite and potentially blow up and destroy a part of your ship. Which is not what you want to do. So let's switch to the cutter with the stinger attachment. You can see those yellow and black parts that are bright yellow on the scanner. Those can be, they're essentially attachment points. So you have to laser them off so they destroy. They're not salvageable. Or they're not meant to be salvaged anyway. Now that I destroyed those 2 points, this part was detached. So I can grapple this and launch it where it needs to go.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
This is still attached by those 4 yellow points. Usually it's, there are a few ways to go about each ship, I suppose. Usually it's, I think, a good idea to break off any parts that can be broken off on the outside. And then find a way in.
Salvage registered. Transferring credits.
So in the easier ships, these, the main access doors are open. But like I said, in some cases there's an airlock that's still active, and you have to use that correctly to depressurize the whole ship. Or not, depending on how you want to go about it.
Salvage accepted.
So,
Credit applied.
hang on, it won't come on out. So, you could take everything out through the door, but it's much easier if you take out the floor. Then you can just shoot everything into the barge from inside the ship. So let's get rid of these 2 floor panels. Can just push them out a bit. But yeah, so if I would launch this into the processor as is, this thing, whatever it is, hard crate, will also go into the processor, and you would lose quite a bit of money or credits. So it's important to check
Salvage secured.
if there's nothing that's supposed to go on the barge before you send it off.
Process. Transferring credit.
In the beginning, and I guess I still do this, like these small lights, they're kind of hard to spot sometimes, so it's easy to launch a part in the furnace or the processor and lose money because the lights are still attached. So there's nothing attached to this, so this can go into the processor. Doesn't matter which side you do it, it's just convenience. And now we have very easy access to get stuff in the barge.
Salvage deposited. Applying credit to account.
You can see at the bottom there's
Account
a
credit.
few meters for health, suit integrity, fuel, and oxygen. And especially the oxygen tends to run out pretty fast, in which case you would have to go back to there. There's a terminal when you can buy oxygen. But quite often there are oxygen tanks that you can pick up
Account credit applied.
inside the ship, but I guess here there aren't any. I'm trying to keep working as I'm talking because I don't want to either have this video be too long or edit it too much.
Salvage secured. Credit deposited.
I'm still figuring out how to safely
Salvage deposited.
deal with electrical parts.
Salvage deposit confirmed. Applying credit.
I guess ideally you would rip out the
Accepted. Credit transferred.
the fuse box or whatever, but I don't always find those very easily.
Salvage accepted.
So yeah, these
Applied.
repair kits are things you can pick up.
Salvage registered. Transferring credit.
Alright, and here's a thruster fuel canister. There's not much point in picking that up in this mode because the meters don't run out.
Salvage secured. Applying credit.
It's a very satisfying game.
Deposit secured.
I hope you will agree. It's in a similar vibe of, or it's of a similar vibe as SnowRunner or
Salvage deposit registered.
Power Wash
Credited.
Simulator.
Salvage secured.
Pretty therapeutic, I find. And unlike Power Wash Sim, this has good music as well. SnowRunner also has music, but I turned that off a long time ago, so
Salvage registered. Transferring
'cause it was very much the same usually. I think it's different per region, but I turned it off in Michigan and I never turned it back on. Pretty sure I turned it off partly because, you know, for the sake of the videos I was making of it at the time. It was easier to get the volumes right if there was no music to mix.
credit transferred. Salvage secured. Applying credit.
And this game also has a very rewarding progression system, in my opinion. As you rank up, or I should say, as you dismantle ships, you gain points that you can spend on perks to upgrade your equipment. I suppose they're not really perks, but just upgrades.
Salvage secured.
Like better oxygen efficiency, more resistance for your suit,
Salvage
more range on your tools, etc. So yeah, this thing we want to deal with carefully because it can blow up.
salvage deposit confirmed. Applying credit.
Still kind of figuring out how to deal with these safely. Because often they're, you know, they're not attached to pipes. But in this case, I'm not entirely sure which point to destroy first. I'd say this one, but we'll deal with that later. Right, I think that's it for the cockpit. A few more lights. One more light, actually. This goes into the furnace.
Material accepted. Credits assigned.
One thing I wish you could do, and maybe you can do, but I haven't figured out how, is like how to reel in objects. Because I tend to move back and forth a lot to get
Material deposited.
parts out of, you know, to get them in the clear, which would take less time and effort if you could just reel them in like a fishing rod, or, you know. So I'd say might as well take the ceiling out. Little nudge.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Like I said, well, I didn't say exactly this, but oh, what? Right, I messed up slightly. Because there was something attached to that roof panel that was supposed to go somewhere else. I forgot what I was saying. Well, I'm not super efficient or fast. On a ship like this, I would probably spend 3 or 4 shifts in the normal mode, whereas some people can get it done in 1 or 2. Or actually, let's get this ceiling out as well. Maybe better the floor first. Which will make it a bit easier to get rid of that fuel tank.
Valuable object accepted for processing.
So let's try and not mess this up. I'm a tiny bit nervous. Or I suppose I can just rip this out. Yeah, okay. Not sure how I missed that, but I did.
Salvage deposit registered. Account credited.
Now let's get rid of the roof. Oops. Kinda missed.
Valuable object processed.
I could have, and maybe I should have done this first. This is still pretty light.
Processing valuable object.
I could rip this off, but they're both supposed to go into the processor, so there's not much point. Which means I shouldn't necessarily have ripped off those panels on this side. Doesn't really matter.
Valuable object accepted.
Essentially, it's a big and rather convoluted sorting sim. But I've been really enjoying it. It scratches an itch that not many games are able to scratch for me. Even something like SnowRunner is very different from this, obviously, even though it's the same kind of, you know, work game. What now? So we'll take out the rest of these pipes. Pretty tough components to break.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
That's still attached. As you can see, you have to be pretty careful and make sure to stop lasering when the contact point is destroyed, so you don't laser whatever is behind it, as I have done a few times with a fuel tank.
Processor deposit accepted. Credits awarded.
Okay, now let's take this out. still figuring out how to do this the best way. As in, wait, I'll try to explain by showing. I can't quite get this out. This goes into the barge, this into the processor. But it's, you know, it's not possible to separate them by just ripping them off. So either you would have to send the whole thing into the barge, because this is much more valuable, so it's, you know, you would focus on this and just take it on the chin that this would go in the wrong place. But ideally, you would use this mode of the cutting tool to separate the two, but I still haven't quite figured out how to do that with as little loss as possible, because this can't even be cut, and I have tried cutting it here, but then the whole thing gets ruined and you lose all that money. So I think you're really just supposed to send the whole thing into the barge with a tiny bit of brute force. Not the best way to do this. In fact, it might be the worst way to do this. Jesus. I can't get this out. Now the whole ship is moving around. How did I mess this up so badly?
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Okay, there wasn't really a penalty for this. This really bothers me. But I don't think there's a way to salvage it. Yeah. Let's try and get these walls off. I think that was all the lamps. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to separate You get into the walls. Yes, and now we can get in here. Coolant tank. It's not something I've seen before, I think. Okay, it's not quite gonna work yet. This got me all turned around.
Salvage secured. Applying credit.
Okay, this whole thing can go to the processor.
Object processed. Transferring credit.
Now we can grab the coolant tank.
Salvage accepted. Credit applied.
And the reactor. Again, I should know this, but I assume
Salvage registered.
there is
Transferring credit.
an invisible timer on the reactor. Like, it can't be not attached to anything and just floating around, or else it will explode or something. Okay. So we can do the same thing here. There's no reactor on this side. Let's make sure not to process the lamp. Whoops.
Salvage deposit confirmed. Applying credit.
This should come away. Just to make sure there's nothing of value.
Deposit accepted for processing.
Sorry for the unnecessary movement. It's really inconvenient that the ship is not level anymore, because I like to keep myself level as much as possible,
Credits transferred.
which is hard to do if the ship is not level. Is this still attached? No.
Processing valuable objects. Credit awarded. Salvage deposit registered. Account credited.
Okay. Off you go.
Valuable object processed. Credit awarded.
Power cell. I guess that's the thing you have to,
Deposited. Applying
or
credit.
the thing you should ideally take out first before you take out other electrical things. Okay, let's try and not hit the fuel tank.
Salvage
It's getting a bit
secured.
long of a video, but it's fine, I suppose. That's still attached. Okay, so how are we getting this out? I'm not quite sure if I destroy that junction, if bad things will happen. Let's try and get rid of this. There's nothing left in here. It's quite a big piece. Which is kind of difficult to work with. Okay, so yeah, this glass is supposed to go in the furnace. The rest is for the processor. So what you would have to do if you want to make the most out of this is make a few cuts like this. To get the glass out separately. I kind of broke it, I think. Yeah, not quite. Whoops. I don't like to have all this stuff just floating around. That's my bad. Okay. Now that can go there.
Raw material accepted.
This should be all separated. Processor. Processor.
Object.
Oh,
Applying credits to account.
still a bit of glass left. It's not a huge deal. And then this. Yeah, I could move it myself. But it's easier to use tethers, which you use like this. And now that will get pulled into the furnace. You have to be a bit careful, because if, depending on the position of it and the size,
Raw material processed. Credits
I
deposited.
always miss doors. I don't know what it is. There's always a door that accidentally gets destroyed. But yes, sometimes depending on from where you're pulling it, and if it's like the whole fuselage or whatever it's called, it will get slowly pulled into the wrong thing, so you have to put your tethers somewhat strategically so it's, you know, so it doesn't get sucked into the wrong place.
Object processed.
There's not that much left to do. Is there nothing else? No. So this should come away. Or not. Oh, right. Forgot about those two. Now that's separated. This can go there, and you,
Processing valuable deposit. Credits transferred.
before you wander off into the barge.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Oh. Yeah, that's my mistake. Can I still retrieve that? probably shouldn't be doing this. No. Okay, there it goes. It's trying to be too fast.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Is it just this one? No.
Salvage deposit registered. Account credited.
How to do this? Okay, first rather. Let's take this out. Because it's a big thing for the barge.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Oh, okay, there's a point behind this. Let's try and not hit the fuel tank once again.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Okay.
Salvage deposited. Applying credit to account.
Now, how would you safely separate this? Gonna have to try and destroying this pipe junction. But it's possible that things will go bad. Easiest would be to send it all to the barge, but oh. I didn't know you could do this. Didn't really do anything. Yeah, there's no way to cut it as far as I can tell. Let's just get rid of the whole thing. Okay, at this point, I think I'm just gonna cut through all the remaining cut points. How would you get to that?
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
How come this is separated now?
Salvage
Maybe I had to use
secured.
that
Credit.
switch before cutting this.
Processing object. Applying credits to account.
Okay, not sure how I missed this fuel tank. It's not very safe.
Salvage registered. Transferring credit.
Okay. As it turns out, there was quite a bit more left to do than I thought. Use a tether for this. In the career mode,
Object processed. Transferring credit.
you have to buy tethers. In free play, it said 1,000, and I assumed they could run out if you use all 1,000 of them, but it seems they are in fact infinite. Okay, now this whole thing needs to go into the furnace.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
So yeah, this could end up being an example of how not to use tethers. I think I want to send it to that one. And then one there so it pulls it away from the processor. As you can see, the top bar, you pretty much did everything. There's a tiny red sliver.
Material deposited. Account applied.
Again, the door. I don't know how I keep missing them. I think that's pretty much it. A few scrap pieces. that don't really, you know, that aren't grabbable. Can be a bit tricky to see, but you can see in the scanner if you're still missing things. Like this small bit.
Raw material deposited.
Whatever this is. Okay. A bottle. Say we're just about done, really. Just want to see what this is. Another bottle. It is theoretically possible to not have any losses, but most often you do have something. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this one. I'd say we did pretty well. So we will enter the habitation unit and end our shift. One panel, fuel pipe, a bit of glass, a door, and a light were destroyed. But I'd say 0.6% destroyed is not bad at all. There's still 0.4% remaining, which is kind of puzzling because I don't think there was anything left, but I must have missed some microscopic thing. Alright, that was it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed this. I will gladly make a few more of these if you're, if it's a game you like to watch. As always, thank you very much for watching and for listening. Take care, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.